When it comes to temptation, I would love to tell you that it's super easy and that there's never been any slip-ups during my no-buy year, but that's just not the case. There were quite a few times where I was ready to pull the trigger on buying something for no particular reason and had to kind of reel myself in. I've held onto the goals and the rules that I've placed for myself, but it took some changes and a few new tools in the toolbox, if you will, to keep me on track and reminding myself of why I was doing the no-buy in the first place. I go into more detail about my rules and my guidelines for myself in my video from last year. If you want to check that out, I will link it up above and down below. But essentially, I wanted to focus on enjoying what I had and digging into my current stash instead of spending a lot of time and also money shopping, window shopping, and lusting after other supplies when I already had so many in my possession. Avoiding temptation instead of being constantly embroiled in it and having to say no is a great way to set yourself up for success. And that means proactively cutting it off where you know you might see it or experience it so that you don't have to continue to say no. So one of the first challenges I had was social media and seeing others buy and share things that they've picked up, or even other shops and small businesses that I really love that tend to stock things that I really like. Every time I saw something of interest, it would kind of spark a little bit of like, oh, should I get that? Or, oh, I want that, even though I'd never seen it before in my life and likely don't need it at all. It was that constant little spark of all of a sudden I didn't have something and I wanted it, and having to constantly be in that cycle. Muting some of those accounts, unfollowing for a little while was a great way of resisting that temptation whenever I was on social media. I've also drastically cut down my time on social media altogether, so that really helped as well. But I know a lot of people aren't necessarily ready to say goodbye to Instagram and TikTok altogether. So you can sort of try to call who you're following and think about how you feel when you see those accounts come up on your feed. There are a few questions that I would ask myself about these accounts that I was always following to determine whether they aligned with my goals for my no-buy or whether they might need to be muted or unfollowed for now. One of them is, when I see this account, am I inspired to journal or buy more supplies? If it's being inspired to buy more, maybe it's time to mute them. Does this account encourage creativity, new ideas, and using what I have? And if the answer is no, it's about getting more, then again, maybe it's time to unfollow. Another question you can ask is, do they share what they're doing or what they're buying most of the time? There are some people who felt like they would share more of what they bought than what they were making with it, and that seemed to normalize in my mind that buying was the most important and fun part of the hobby instead of actually using the supplies. And I noticed that in myself, so I didn't want to keep following those people for now. And are they a good influence on me for my no-buy journey? I mean, that one's pretty straightforward. And again, you can choose the rules, you can choose the guidelines, and you can be honest with yourself and say, is this person inspiring me to do more and be creative and try things out or not? The second tool that I started using a lot more to help me with my no-buy is the wish list. If you find yourself shopping online anyway, like I was sometimes, and adding things to your cart, you definitely don't have to buy them right away. You can use a wish list in these instances, and I suggest one that you can add items to from anywhere on the internet to make it easier to keep everything in one place. I have a wish list page set up on Notion, which I think I've talked about before, and I can add anything from anywhere to that list, and it's all in one place. That way I don't forget about them or leave the tab open on my laptop and then be constantly reminded of this thing that I wanted when I inevitably forget about it. It's very handy to share with others when it comes to holidays or birthdays or things like that where people want to buy you a gift. You can always send them your wish list, and it's a good way of keeping tabs on it so you don't feel like you're going to forget about it, but at the same time you don't have to buy it right away. I also suggest going through it every so often and taking things out that don't spark joy anymore. Over time, you'll find that there's a lot of things you felt in the moment you needed right then and there, and I have been there, believe me. But a week or two or a month later, you realize that you can absolutely live without it, and maybe you don't even want it that much anymore, so you take it off of your wish list. That can really help to hone your sense of what you are truly drawn to, what might be really worth it to ask for as a gift or to buy later if you decide to, versus impulse buying things right away. Another tool that I used pretty often to help me with my no-buy journey is reminding myself of what I already have and making an intentional plan to use it. That way, you're shifting your mindset away from purchasing and getting new things and reminding yourself of what you already have and how you want to use it. The best way I've found for me to do that is actually to get up and go look at my current stationery stash, like take out some things that I have still that I haven't used yet, rifle through it, touch it, feel it, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and really remind yourself of what you have. I then take note of anything that I haven't used yet or that I haven't used in a while, and I make a plan for how I'm going to use it. Maybe it means putting it in a special pile, and next time when I journal, I'm going to use that specific thing and make a spread out of it. Or maybe I have an idea that's sparked by that, and I'm going to make a themed piece of mail for a friend based on some things that I found and I forgot that I have. I find that it really helps snap me back to reality in the sense of being able to remember what I have, why I don't need any more supplies, and how much I can truly be grateful for that I have right now, rather than being so focused on things that I already have in my cart and want to buy right away. Instead, I can say, wow, look at all of the things that I do have, and remember when I was so excited when I first bought these things and how I wanted to use them for all these projects. And it can really help immediately shift my mindset and perspective. So I definitely suggest doing that as often as you can, especially when you feel tempted to buy. I promise you will feel a lot more sense of satisfaction using what you have and reminding yourself of what you have rather than buying something new. Another way you can bring yourself out of the buying mentality, but still have that sense of something new and different and shaking things up, is to talk to a friend in the hobby and suggest a stationery swap. Focusing on sharing and using what you have while still getting something new can really help with not buying, but still give you that feeling of inspiration that comes with supplies you haven't used or seen before. It can double as a way of using your supplies too, because then you can decorate the package with stickers, use your pens to write out a cute letter, make them a collage or a little flip book or something like that, and get really into it, make it a project, and then you're using your supplies as well. As some of you know, you might have been following me for a long time. I used to be really into pen paling, especially over the pandemic, and I would spend lots of time and effort on these beautiful letters and envelopes that I would send other people, and you would always send some goodies with it. So sometimes I still do that with people. And this is from Gabby, who is the amazingly talented artist who owns the Pen Pal Gabby C Etsy shop. And she sent me some mail recently and had this beautiful envelope. And you know, my friends and I still do this sometimes, but I wanted to show you what you could include in a package like this and how you could send it to other people. So she sent me a beautiful letter on some paper that she had designed and a whole bunch of supplies and cutoffs and a couple of sticker sheets that she had made and some pet tapes. And it's so fun because now I have a little taste of some of the things from her shop that I get to use in other letters and supplies, and I still got something fun and cute in the mail like you would if you bought it. So this is a great way to also resist that temptation but still be able to use some new supplies. You can also give supplies away to friends and family and organizations if you have an abundance or you just don't use it as much anymore. I've given away some supplies to youth programs who use it for the youth workshops that they have to increase their self-esteem and to give them a place to talk about their feelings. I've given away journals and other supplies to people who are starting the hobby or who will use them, and even family who want to get in on the hobby or would just like a little piece of Notably Emily in their lives. So you can also think about just giving away supplies and, again, focusing on what you have and what you can contribute and what you can give away and share versus hoarding more and getting more and more supplies, which can be a tricky hole to fall into. The final tool that I can suggest, of course, is to journal about your thoughts and feelings about wanting to buy and the temptation that you're feeling at the time. It's kind of meta, but it does work because you can get out your feelings and what you're thinking about and what you're struggling with into your journal and use your supplies as well. I find that there's usually something deeper going on with me, and that's what's really prompting me to buy. Like, I'm having a really rough week, or I'm stressed out, or I just need something new to look forward to, and it's not necessarily about actually needing the supplies for the most part. So journaling about it and getting clear and deep on what I'm actually feeling can be really helpful for resisting that temptation. 9 times out of 10, when I'm done actually journaling, I feel better and I don't feel nearly as much of a temptation to impulse purchase, which is a huge plus. So you can ask yourself what you're really feeling right now, what you're struggling with, why you want to buy those things, what is your little magpie brain telling you that wants you to buy the new shiny object and why you desperately need it, what you could possibly be using it for, and what current supplies you have that could actually fill that hole. And be honest with yourself. Nobody's going to judge you, and your journal definitely won't. So you can pour it out on the page and know that it's going to hold everything there for you. I hope you found these tools helpful and inspiring for the next time that you feel temptation when wanting to buy something you may not need or even want. I found them really helpful as I completed my 2024 no-buy year, and I'm going to continue to use them in 2025 to resist temptation on impulse buying, even though I'm not doing a full no-buy year. If you have any other tips or tricks, definitely leave them down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.